Good afternoon, everybody, and again, thank you for joining us today. And I do want to start with, of course, our partnerships and relationships that we have with the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office are bar none some of the best in the state. And because of those relationships and partnerships are why we just get things done just a tad bit different, of course, in the great state of Florida. I do want to introduce, of course, from my right, of course, to your left and my right. Over here, of course, is John Reed, and John Reed is a great partner of ours. Of course, he's the Chief Assistant for the State Attorney's Office at 7th Judicial Circuit. Right next to him is our Superintendent of the St. Johns County School District, which is Brendan Asplin. And, of course, right behind me here is a Deputy Superintendent of the St. Johns County School District, Paula Bettinozzi. Over my left shoulder here is another great partner, too, with our ATF brothers and sisters. This is Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Carlos Martin. Right, of course, to the other side over there is a longtime partner to us and a senior special agent with ATF, which is Mark Mutz. And then last but not least is Sergeant Gene Tolbert with our major case unit and also the case agent on this. And he is also the task force officer assigned to our ATF. Today, I'm going to go ahead, as you see some pictures up here today, and of course, some of the evidence that was collected. I do want to start off with this. I just want to go through and get the names out, of course, of our two suspects, our individuals over here that have been charged by our state attorney's office. I'm going to refer to Julian Davis, who's 14 years old, as Julian, the rest of the press conference. He was arrested on, of course, on your left-hand side over there. He was arrested on April 30th of 2026 for the first charge with his conspiracy to commit robbery with a firearm. And the additional charges were make or possess a destructive device, firearm ×2. And make or possess a destructive device, explosive device, ×3. Throw, project, or discharge a destructive device for explosive device. And then last is furnish or attempt to furnish a firearm to a minor. Charlie is Charles Williams, which is the next suspect there to the right of Julian. He was arrested on June 29th, 2026 for conspiracy to commit robbery with a firearm. This all stemmed from, this is a perfect example of Fortify Florida tip. And you're going to hear today from our Deputy Superintendent, Paula Bettinozzi. He's going to explain to you what does that tip look like when it comes in through the St. Johns County School District. But on April 27th of 2026, in the early morning hours, we received, meaning the St. Johns County School District and the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office received a Fortify Florida tip. And it came in through a source, and it actually had a lot of details in there to include a video attached to it and some evidence is actually laying out some crimes that were going to be committed or about to be committed by two juveniles that actually attended Swiss Point Middle School here in St. Johns County. On that same exact day, after they go through the Fortify Florida process, which you'll hear about it in a minute, they immediately operate the system of internally for the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and notify the Criminal Investigation Division, our Real-Time Intelligence Center, working with our deputy sheriffs assigned in our Youth Resource Division with our threat assessment deputy sheriffs. That process throughout the day under the leadership of Sergeant Gene Tolbert leads to, of course, a search warrant at the residence of Julian, and then also leads to a consensual search, meaning the parents went ahead and allowed us into the house of Charlie. Through that investigation and through, of course, the evidence that we collected there and notifying our brothers and sisters at the ATF, the situation just gets worse and worse about what is about to happen or what is going on actually in the residence or behind the residence of these two individuals. And I'm going to read on the search warrant, of course, that was collected on the 27th. There was things like located 3 privately made firearms and ammunition, makeshift handcuffs, handwritten notes depicting the construction of firearms and chemical reactions and diagrams, a manifesto-style books, tactical vests with white supremacy drawings on it, among other items of concern, which we'll discuss today, and you'll read for yourself, of course, in the actual documents that will be given to you at the close of this press conference. So again, we go through this complex investigation. It just gets more and more intense, and you're going to hear the word ETN actually talked about in there. I am not an EOD expert, or I do not know well as far as the terms in there. You're going to read a lot of the terms, of course, in your press release today that are going to have to be Googled. But this is what these young men were doing. And I think the key point of this is that Davis was using his devices in his home to research things. He had an asphyxiation with people that had committed, of course, these mass school shootings, people that have gone in and done these mass stabbings. He had an asphyxiation, so he was actually spending a lot of his time, of course, on there going through these high-profile cases and something that he actually wanted to emulate. Him and Charlie, actually, Julian and Charlie, were also doing experimental explosives, similar to like what you would do is looking at it online, how do you make it? Let's go ahead and detonate it to it well and see what the response of the detonation is too. So again, similar, well, just say the word M80 fireworks, because some of us will know that's kind of a larger firework. Again, so they were actually experimenting with the intentions. And back to the Fortify Florida tip at first, it was to rob basically the intent was to rob somebody. However, we have not identified that source of who they were going to rob. So as we speak today, Julian is in the St. Johns County Jail, as the state attorney's office will talk about. He has been charged as an adult, and he has gone through the lockdown system, meaning he is in there as an adult. Charlie did his 21 days through the Department of Juvenile Justice and has since been released. At this time, I want to go ahead and introduce my next speaker here. Carlos Martin, again, he's the ATF Special Agent in charge. Carlos, please.
Thank you, Sheriff. My name is Carlos Martin, and I'm an Assistant Special Agent in charge with ATF's Tampa Field Division. I'm proud to stand here with Sheriff today to make these announcements. ATF gladly joined forces with St. Johns County Sheriff's Office in this case, particularly because it falls right into ATF's public mission safety statement. ATF investigates violent crime, arsons, explosives, and firearms. Charging these two suspects is only the first step in holding those responsible accountable for their acts that could have been tragedy at Switzerland Point Middle School and the broader community. Although I can't get into operational details because it's still an active case, I would like to outline some of the resources ATF has brought to this case. Highly trained experts can identify and classify types of firearms and explosives devices unseen and in a courtroom. We had a forensic chemist standing by to help identify precursor materials used to make homemade explosives. We also provided access to our strategic capabilities from our ATF Forensic Science Lab in Atlanta, Georgia, ATF's Fire Research Lab, and our National Firearms Examiners Academy, both located in Maryland. And although it's too early to say whether there will be additional charges or more arrests, ATF's commitment remains the same. Contribute the full suite of full federal resources to our state and local partners, follow the facts wherever they lead, and ultimately help bring everyone responsible to justice. By all measures, Switzerland Point Middle School, Northeast Florida, are much safer today, thanks to the men and women of the St. Johns County Sheriff's Department, St. Johns County School District, and the State Attorney's Office, and ATF is proud to be a partner. With that, I'll hand the podium back to Sheriff Hartley.
Again, every time I get back up here, I just got to reiterate the relationship that we share, the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and St. Johns County, as I call this next speaker up here too as well. Again, the Fortify Florida thing, this is a perfect example. It's a textbook example of how it should be used and what the actual outcome is too as well. We have a special relationship here, of course, in St. Johns County under Dr. Aspen's leadership as the superintendent of St. Johns County School District, and we're truly blessed in St. Johns County to protect our nearly 52,000 children in 46 schools this year with over 6,700 employees that work in these schools. Next, I'd like to go ahead and call up Paul Abatinozzi, who's the deputy superintendent in charge of the St. Johns County School District. Deputy.
Thank you, and good afternoon. I'm Paul Abatinozzi. I'm the Deputy Superintendent for the St. Johns County School District. I do want to start by saying, although there was no direct threat to the Switzerland Point Middle School or the students of Switzerland Point Middle School, I'm so grateful for the actions of the Sheriff's Department, the actions of ATF, and the actions of our State Attorney Office. Collaboratively, they've worked together, and echoing earlier statements, certainly have made the school community as well as the overall school a safer place today. Fortify Florida, I'd like to talk a few minutes about. Following the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas incident, partnership came about in 2018 with the Florida Department of Education, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and the Office of the Attorney General. They rolled out an application, a mobile app called Fortify Florida, which gives families, students, community members, staff members, etc., the opportunity to put this on a mobile device, and it's an opportunity for them to report anonymously, if they'd like to, any suspicious activity or threats. So echoing the sheriff's statements, this is exactly what those organizations wanted to see. It's exactly how we expect to see Fortify Florida work. To dive a little bit deeper, just so everyone is aware, when a Fortify Florida tip comes in, it comes in, every school in St. Johns County has a team that receives that. The district office has a team that receives those. Every YRD receives those tips, all the way up to the Office of Safe Schools in Tallahassee. So when those tips come in, immediately we evaluate those tips at the school level, working in collaboration with our youth resource deputy, and we coordinate those tips out, whether it's a law enforcement piece, whether it's a code of conduct matter at a school, on how we deal with those. So I can't share enough how grateful I am again for how this worked. We immediately received this tip, coordinated with law enforcement. They took that and started to work, as you heard, with regards to that. But again, echoing the state, the importance of, again, exactly what we want to see with Fortify Florida, the information we gain, although, like I said, you heard, this was outside of the school setting, no direct threat to the schools, but Fortify Florida was clearly the initial conduit to help get the investigation piece started. Thank you. I'll hand it back to Sheriff Hardwick.
Just one thing I want to just clarify, I was thinking when I was standing back here, is on the 27th, we did, on the second search warrant, information we found out from the first search warrant on Julian's house, or his parents' house, on the 27th. Our EOD dogs actually hit on some explosive incinerated devices inside that residence, which alerted, of course, our EOD team, or explosive ordnance team, that was actually in there, along with ATF in that house. So as we start school, of course, on Monday, it's one of those things on the back of your neck. It's just perfect timing to go ahead and reiterate what the Fortify Florida is, reiterate the partnerships and relationships we share in the great state of Florida, but more importantly, in your backyard in St. Johns County. So at this time, I'm going to warn you, media, please, we have a great relationship here in St. Johns County. With that, we'd like to stay on topic today. This is a heinous and atrocious case. We want to make sure these two individuals are held accountable. As our state attorney will tell you here today, it's still an active investigation. You all know this. We find things out, whether it's jail phone calls or information being, or people coming forward. So again, we're going to respect the integrity of the case, and you can get the information. As soon as this is over with, we'll push send to you. You'll have it, read it for yourselves. At this time, I'll take questions. Please.
So first of all, this arrest, the initial arrest was made back in April. What kind of inspired the team to come out today and make this public?
Yes, so this has been a very complex case, of course, with ATF, of course, laboratory results, and we were simply waiting to make sure how many more charges are going to be coming forward, make sure the laboratory, of course, at ATF was done. This is not the only case, unfortunately, of course, in the United States, and then also to us timing, too, as well. Again, with Julian being charged as an adult, he goes through the process with Charlie, of course, originally cooperating with the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, but just a complex case that just took a lot more than, this isn't the normal case we get every day in St. Johns County, let alone Northeast Florida. So again, just a lot of complexity to the case, to include chemical backgrounds of the ETN.
You kind of addressed my second question, but Charles obviously not charged with nearly the same amount of charges and severity of charges, and it sounds like maybe that's because he was cooperating in this?
No, the original case, don't forget, was actually this conspiracy to commit the actually armed robbery, or robbery with a firearm, and that's what the Fortify Florida came into. The tip actually came into on the 27th in the early morning hours, and then us working the case like we always do with the state attorney's office hand in hand. It looked more so that Julian, of course, is the one responsible and seemed like to be the ringleader per se on the additional cases and charges that were actually brought forward on him. I'm going to look to Sergeant Tolbert, make sure I'm tracking.
Yes,
Yep, and John Reed, good? Yes, sir. Please.
Were both of the children students at the Point?
Yes, sir. So again, this was back in April 27th of this year, and I'm going to look to the deputy superintendent and the superintendent, but to our knowledge, at the time, they were both enrolled in Swiss Point Middle School.
Yes, that's accurate. And then following that, there was a withdrawal from Julian. The other Charles young man did finish through the course of the year, but at this point, we have no intention of having either of those students return to our schools at this time.
Deputy Superintendent, while you're up there, I was going to ask if there were any indicators in the classroom when you talked to principals, teachers.
So upon our review, there was nothing in. We have a student management system that lists all of our school-based type infractions K through 12 for the duration that you're a student at our school site. We had no indication of anything to this nature.
And then one second thing real quick. You touched on it a second ago with a previous question, but is there a specific reason why you guys did not bring this information to the public back in April or May when the arrest was officially made?
Sure, again, this is, like I answered earlier, that working with the federal, a laboratory like the ATF, of course, and the complexity of course, what is involved in this. And as you'll read today, there's so many different words in there that are just not normally seen that have to do with ETM, which of course is an explosive device, which you'll actually see that chemicals that actually, household items that you can Google today as you'll read today and see what those actually items can actually do through an internet search. It's scary, it's dangerous of what they can do. So again, making sure we have those charges, of course, working hand in hand with the state attorney's office. Again, those charges, as you'll read today, are very specific and unique to what you're going to read today. So making sure, of course, the state attorney's office was comfortable. We had a charge and a hold on him originally, which was that conspiracy to commit that robbery, armed robbery, with a firearm. Again, and our detectives, just the way it works, of course, in any jurisdiction, it's not the only case we're working. When we have somebody locked up and held accountable, we know where they're at. I did want to mention that. You actually spiked my memory on something else. There is a $240,000 bond on Julian in the St. Johns County Jail. And the question is going to be asked, can he bond out? Yes, he's filed on as an adult. As our state attorney's office will tell you, he's entitled to a bond. What we believe there's no means or mechanisms that anybody that's close to him can afford to actually get him out.
Sheriff, can you share any details about that planned armed robbery? Was it at school or another business?
I'm going to look to Sergeant Tolbert, but as far as I know, as far as the Fortify Florida tip came in, it was someone known. There was only acronyms and, of course, nicknames used. Our team from the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and the St. Johns County School District has exhausted these two basic names that we were given that are very common names. And I'll look to Sergeant Tolbert, but they exhausted all of these. Sarge, please.
So based on the investigation, the charge that Julian and Charlie are charged with is conspiring to commit an armed robbery. And based on search warrants and downloads of their electronic devices, they plan to rob a person named CJ. There's a lot of CJs in the world. We have not figured out who CJ is. We know where the robbery was supposed to occur. It was supposed to occur behind Publix on County Road 210, not associated with the school. And we know some details as far as what the plan for the robbery was. It kind of involved the makeshift firearms that you see here that were homemade by Julian, some type of explosive device, incendiary device that they had communicated back and forth photos and videos of. They had fashioned handcuffs, obtained zip ties for handcuffs. They had talked about how they were going to tie CJ up and rob him. And that's what we know about the robbery case. So unfortunately, if somebody knows who CJ is, we would love to hear from you, but we have not figured out who CJ is yet.
Liz, go ahead.
Thank you. Are any adults implicated, maybe property owners where these explosives were stored? And is Charles in St. Johns County and in the custody of his parents?
So, of course, I can't answer, of course, where he has been released from DJJ. As far as we know, he is still here in St. Johns County. I'm not sure if the state attorney's office, but as far as my staff knows too as well, once they're released, they're in the custody and care of their guardian and their parent, which of course is where Charlie's at. And as I told you earlier, of course, Julian is still in our custody as of just a few minutes ago. One thing you had asked the deputy superintendent too of the school district is, were these two kids on the map? And actually, Charlie was not, nothing to do with the map. So it wasn't like these kids were being watched by the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. I use that word watched loosely. But of course, we did have an incident where there was actually a fire near, of course, where Julian lives, where he was a suspect. There was no evidence that actually precluded that he was a suspect in that case, but there was some information on that. Yes, sir.
Everything that you've displayed here is all homemade, all makeshift, all weapons, explosives. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Just and again, not to be disrespectful at all, of course, but that we know that it appears that the vest was actually purchased and bought offline. But I'm gonna let my the assistant ATF special agent in charge step up here and kind of explain to you what these three items here are. Carlos.
So basically what you have here are homemade devices, from explosives to makeshift firearms and so forth. Obviously, things that you can actually, household items, things that you can buy around the store.
Sheriff, one question. This seems like a lot for just a robbery, considering we're looking at explosives. Was there anything within that manifesto looking at another attack or something further?
You know, as I mentioned, of course, Julian was obsessed with mass shootings, mass stabbings, things that he thought were, you know, infamous people to us, but things that were, you know, very, he was reading about. So I think we can all kind of gather, based, of course, on Sergeant Tolbert and ATF's investigation, that this was a much bigger picture than just a robbery of that individual. They had been, and I can simply speak for Julian, based on the research and, of course, what our digital forensics unit, of course, through the forensics downloads, actually discovered that this had been going on for 2 years. And I think Sergeant Tolbert will get up here and tell you that this robbery was pretty much going on pretty recent, based on someone that they believe, you know, they're going to rip them off. So 2 years of research on pretty much the stuff you're seeing today. Please.
Back to February of 25.
So it was dating back to February 25. Yep.
Sheriff, when you talked to the parents, I mean, were they surprised to learn that their kids were up to this, and could they face any charges stemming from all this?
As far as charges, I would say nothing is off the table, if that's fair, with the state attorney's concurrence. There's still a lot of information to go through in this case. I genuinely believe we've only scratched the surface. But we believe that Julian's mother was aware of some of this activity. She kind of describes him as being very interested in fires, making candles, making smoke bombs in the backyard. She referred to one of these homemade 12-gauge shotguns as a pop gun, so she was aware that it existed. When we searched the Davis residence, all these items were out. They weren't, you know, kind of hidden in a closet underneath clothes or anything like that. They were out to where anyone who walked into his room could see them. I don't know how frequently she visited his room. You know, certainly seems like she was maybe asleep at the wheel, but you know, she didn't share a whole lot of information as far as knowing that he was intending to commit this robbery or knowing that he was intending to make actual explosive devices, but she did know that he dabbled in chemistry and had an interest in that. So I can't really speak to everybody's moral compass, but that would be the hope, is that if your child is engaged in this activity, that maybe you don't learn about it at a press conference, that maybe you reach out and ask for some help. I will tell you, Charlie's mother has been very supportive of the investigation. She completely understood why Charlie was arrested. And candidly, she said that Charlie needs to be held responsible for his actions. So.
You know, one thing I'm just going to elaborate on too as well, you know, we massive campaign with St. Johns County School District on this see something, say something, and it's not a cliche, it's real. And I think the reason why we're standing here today is because someone did actually see something and do exactly like they were supposed to do and notify Fortify Florida. We got something special in St. Johns County. It's a small percentage, 99% of these kids in these schools, it's over 51,000 this year, do the right thing when no one's looking, and they don't want to be a part of this stuff, but it's that small percentage of the same society that we have to deal with. So again, so it's partnerships and relationships that we share with the school district, but they've done a massive campaign this year, once again, pushing out there, see something, say something to our children and our parents too as well. I'm going to say this like I always say to you and the media people too as well. It starts in the home. It starts in the home with parents paying attention, and we talk about these things right here all the time, for us too as well. It opens our children to the world, and it opens the world to our children too as well. And if we're not paying attention on this, because if you see, once you read today, the researching they were doing on their personal devices, whether it's a computer or laptop or their cell phone device, I mean, this is a 13 and 14-year-old boys doing man crime. Men, you know, acting like men, and they're going to be treated like men with, you know, him being in our facility now, being charged with adult crimes, 8 adult crimes. So I'll take one more question.
Sheriff, I kind of, on that note, want to ask your thought process behind, obviously, these are younger than 18-year-olds, just releasing their names and their faces like this, and just want to know why you wanted to name them here.
Sure, it's nothing about why I want to name them. If you want to act like an adult, you're going to be treated like an adult in St. Johns County. And this is my thing too as well. I want every single parent in St. Johns County and child to know in St. Johns County, I recommend that your kids are nowhere near these 2 boys right here. Because let's just say Charlie does bond out or Julian does bond out. Do you want your children playing with this kid who knows how to make bombs? He's doing sophisticated crimes that most adults don't know how to do. I mean, he educated me when I read some of these things in that report. So this is that thing, again, if you want to hold, you know, we hold people accountable. And he's in my jail as an adult, so he's not really protected anymore. He's being treated, and that was filed by the state attorney's office, as an adult. So that being said, I want everybody to know in St. Johns County we're not going to tolerate this type of thing. And I want every single parent to know if your kids are hanging out with these kids and Charlie's on the street right now, I recommend you find a new friend. Charlie doesn't need to be hanging with any kids in St. Johns County. Matter of fact, I recommend they move out of our jurisdiction. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate our partnerships and relationships. Welcome back to school. You are in the safest county, I promise you, because of our partnerships and relationships that we share. Media to you, you have been nothing but professional to us. We appreciate you. You let us allow clear, concise, and factual information. 99% of you. We have a great relationship, and that started this year, as we had those murders back to back. Thank you. Have a great day, and God bless. Have a good weekend. Thank you.